Today is a hard one for me to deliver. It's the anniversary week of Melissa's passing, and it brings up all about the day we heard the policeman, the shock, rigor mortis has set in, we can't revive her, all the things. And 8 years later, it not only brings up that day, but how we've done all the anniversaries since it's now 8 years. It could have been yesterday. And to tell you the truth, it would be very easy for me to get lost in the shock and horror of that day of finding out what was beyond believable. But that doesn't honor Melissa exactly the way I want to. And even more, it doesn't honor my journey with grief in the sense of the gift I've been given to shift the trajectory of typical grief. And many of you know I've been a psychotherapist, and the things we learned aren't any different than what you hear in the culture. You know, grief changes form, it's the stages of grief. You go from one to the other, it never ends. And then there's all the stuff about the the pain is the measure of your love. And you know all the things. I don't have to repeat them. And you've probably heard me tell the story, maybe in my book or another musings, about how I was shocked into awakening to hurting the rest of my life. How does that honor Melissa? And the other piece that I was all right. And I struggled immediately with that. How can I be all right? She's dead. And I saw very clearly that both are true. I am okay, and she is dead. And then I went to, if you remember, and I can hardly believe this, I went to, can I pretend that I'm still hurting so I still get connected to all the mothers and all the people who are loving on me and my husband and my daughter in ways we've never taken in? And it was like, authenticity as a 4 on the Enneagram is too big. That's not a possibility. And then I knew in that moment that I would become a disruptor. Because my next thought was, well, I'm going to be all alone. And it was a very powerful feeling. You can do it. And you have to do it. You must do it. And later, in years to follow and months to follow, I saw how easy it was to go back to the pain. Yeah, I could do it. All I have to do is go into nostalgia. Any nostalgia for me ended in, can't have that anymore. She's dead. So it always ended in pain. And the pain originally was so horrific that I always chose something else. I choose to live in honor of Melissa, not in my pain of her dying. And that always works out because it always makes me bigger, stronger, and more courageous because I want to do justice to her gorgeous life and especially to where she got before she died. And by the way, if you want to hear more about her evolution, I need to know. So would you send me a PS or a reply and say, tell me more about Melissa's evolution? Because I'd love to tell you if you want to know. But this year, speaking of the anniversary, going into it very consciously, honoring Melissa's ability to surrender to the voice she heard, the direction, the guidance, which she called her angels because of her training from Laura Byrne. She did hear constantly, really, do this, do that, here's this, here's that. And so this week, I threw out my topic when I heard write about Melissa. My topic for this week was so cool. I love the book, The Upper Limits. It's really called, um, not The Upper Limits. What's it called? It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's a wonderful book. And I was going to talk about being an elder and continuing to grow in my genius and push out the upper limits. How cool a topic is that? And my guidance said, no, honor Melissa this week. You honor her every week, but write about her this week. Write about the anniversary. And I hope that whatever anniversaries you have, whether they're of a high or a low, you spend a little bit of your attention recognizing when those big times are, because the body mind will remember even if you decide not to. And you don't want to let the unconscious and the memories take over without your recognition, because it's a big breakthrough when you bring consciousness to whatever the memory was. If it was a great memory, how are you living that way again? What else can you receive from that anniversary? And then if it's a tragedy or uh, some kind of pain, what did you learn from it? How are you different now? How would you like to celebrate this moment right now? Because we're not in whatever that moment was, we're in this moment. So presence is always expansion. So I honor you. I honor Melissa by my sharing this time with you. And maybe you can do your anniversaries slightly different because of our honoring of Melissa. Bye for now.